there from the Old Man Cycling Show. Welcome to another video. It's been quite a while since I recorded a video. This is the Emerick Blvd Masters 55 Plus Criterium, sponsored by Penn Medicine in Your Nose and Throat. Good field today. There were probably, I'm going to guess, close to 60 people in the race. It was a hot day. The time this race started, it was probably in the mid 80s. By the time the second race of the day I did was over, it was in the 90s. Very hot day. First time I raced this race. Good course, good field. I'm getting to know a lot of the people that are in the field, so really getting to enjoy the races and know people, and definitely am getting stronger. So I'm just going to do a little voiceover on this. I don't have any sound from the recording. You would just hear the road noise and everything else. So like any of the other races I've done, I'm always trying to learn, trying to improve, trying to do better. And this race is no exception. So, I rode the course for 2 laps before the race and got to know a little bit. The setup is we're now on the back straight. This parallels the start straight. It's a straight and it's going to come to a sweeping left-hand bend. I wouldn't even call it a turn, it's just a bend. And if you look at the map in the upper right hand corner, you'll see we're coming around the bend now. And now this is, a very slight false flat. I wouldn't even call it a hill. It's just a false flat. It does go up, but it's not bad. You can keep pedaling on it. You'll see people surging throughout the race on this. So this was a good spot to make a move if you wanted to. You could definitely do that. At the top of this false flat, you'll see we're coming around another bend, and that's on the start finish straightaway. So after the bend, the finish is actually a little bit down the straightaway here. So you'll see towards the end of the race, it's longer than you think. So now we're on the straight. We're coming around to the start finish line momentarily. Real quick, number 459, who just passed me and who I just passed back. For those of you that are in the area and go to like Great Valley, Criterium, or other Criteriums in the area, that was the start-finish line. That's Ron Short. He's an excellent racer, but he also does really, really good photography. He does a lot of pictures at Criteriums and at Great Valley Corporate Center. So if you're on Facebook, check out Ron Short. And he has a lot of good race action pictures. So Ron, I see Ron at the Thursday Criteriums. He rides well, strong rider. Ahead of me is my buddy Joe, who you've seen me mention on numerous videos before. Joe and I have gotten to be good friends. We talk a lot. We'll help each other out during the race. We'll work out strategies. Unfortunately today, my teammate Steve couldn't make it. He had some family commitments, which is good for him. Family comes first, but that was good. But all in all, this was a good race. Joe and I talked about it beforehand. We were just going to sort of sit in a little bit and see what happened, what was development, see if anything was going on, but be in a position to react. But we didn't want to, last couple of races, we did a lot of work at the front, and we didn't want to do that. We sort of wanted to sit back a little bit, see what's going to happen. But if you know me and you know my personality, I have good intentions, but my intentions don't always match what my head tells me to do. So like we're sitting in the middle of the pack here, just sort of letting things go. We're on the second lap. Not too much is really happening. It's very early. So this was a timed race. This race was 50 minutes. So the way they figure out how many laps they're going to do, they take the average speed of your first 3 or 4 laps. They divide that into 50 and figure out that, they take the average speed and they say that's what your lap's going to take. They divide that number into 50 to figure out how many total laps you will do, and they subtract the number of laps you've already done. So if you can see it when we come by here, we're on the finishing straight. On the left side, there will be a lap counter. I don't know if we'll see it because it'll be pretty blocked out by people, but it's coming up on the left side right there. It says 0 still. So we're on the second lap. They're still calculating our time to figure out how many laps you're going to put up there. And eventually there'll be a lap count. Some of the other things you can see on here is I have our current speed. I don't have the average speed. I have the current distance. Each lap was just about a mile, but you got to remember my GPS head unit was at rest before the race started, so it we're a little bit off on mileage. The top of the column for power, that is my current power, my current RPMs, my current heartbeat. The circular power is my 30-second power average. So you'll see that, you know, there's two different power things on here. One is instant power, and the other is my 30-second average. And it's interesting to see how they fluctuate and vary in combination with each other. But anyway, you know, we're getting into the we're into the third lap of the race now, and it's, I wouldn't say it's picking up, but we're getting into a rhythm. You know, things are starting to go a little bit faster. People are starting to move. There's been a couple of people going off, and I will say in this race there were two preems. You'll see when they come up. So we're coming around the bend to go up the false flat here, and you know, just sort of still watching things happen, watching things develop. I really enjoyed this course. It was fun. It wasn't technical. It was fast. It was challenging. This false flat, after 15, 20 times up it, you knew you were doing it, but it wasn't a killer. It didn't knock you out. You just knew you were doing it. So again, you know, just riding. I feel very, very much comfortable now in the pack. I've been practicing that a lot. Like every Thursday night, if I go to the training crit, you know, I'll practice getting myself back into the pace line, getting myself back out of the wind. You know, force your way in. You know, the best spot strat are obviously turns. You know, things tend to light up, you know, break up a little bit. People separate a little bit in turns, so you can, you know, force your way in there. And then other times, you know, you just sort of assert yourself. You just come around and you position where you want to be, and you slightly edge over, and you know, you're getting position. I mean, there's nothing rude about it. You're not breaking any etiquette. It's just the way people work. You'll see 4:59 Ron ahead of me again right now. Always a good wheel to follow. Ron knows what's going on. When we get to the end, you know, you'll see Ron's there. Not to give anything away yet, but you know, if you're not watching the whole thing, you skip the end, you'll see Ron's there. This downhill part actually wasn't the fastest part of the course. You could build up speed here, but it's really when you come around this sweeping corner. So the cones were to keep you from going into the other lane and cutting the corner too much. But once you came around this sweeping corner, which is coming up right here, you can see that the leader's up there. This was the fastest part. If you were pushing, a couple times people would sit up and, you know, take it easy a little bit, but right here is the fastest part of the course. Several times we're, you know, in the low 30s coming through here. So that was a really fun sweeper bend, plenty wide. We had the whole road, you know, we had all 4 lanes to use, or 3.5 or 2.5, however you wanted to measure it. So, you know, there was one walker one time, might see her, it's either this lap or the next lap. That sort of got everybody a little bit worried, because she had headphones in. Even though she could see us, you know, she couldn't hear us because her headphones were in. But you know, we all dealt with it pretty well. And then the next lap around, she's actually walking up on the grass. You know, a lot of these that we just passed her. A lot of these courses, they're in like corporate centers or other things, and they do their best to close the roads. Like they put barriers up and cones up and things like that. But the roads aren't closed. You know, they can't close the roads. There's a whole thing with that. Like they would have to get police escorts and other things. But you know, it works. It works fine. You know, for the most part, they have marshals where all the intersections are, because there are people coming into this corporate park going to work. So at this point, I don't know if you noticed on the previous hill, Joe had come up alongside me. Well, he said, you know, we've got to start to move up a little bit. So you can just see, you know, I just pushed it to get up here more towards the front. You know, I was sort of in the middle of the pack, and now I'm pretty close to the front. Like I'm in the you know, the first 10 wheels. Joe is just behind on my left shoulder. Still early in the race, you know, we still have quite a bit of distance to cover. It ended up being a 21, 22 mile race. But there goes the theory about let's hang out in the back for a while and just see what happens. You know, and I was going to start moving up anyway. I don't feel comfortable being in the back half of the pack, even though, you know, it wasn't easy, but you saw I could go from the back to the front, you in the matter of that straightaway. So now, for a couple laps, I'll just sit here, and this group tended to work okay. We were, sharing the load pretty well. People would drop off, people wouldn't. It's really funny. It's absolutely hit or miss as to whether the people that you are ahead of will cooperate with you, or they're just going to sit in their wheel waiting for you to burn out, and then wait for somebody else to come around. But this group of people did a good job. I would say that. For a couple laps here anyway, we at least seem to keep a good pace. We're still all together. It's not like we have any gap, but I just wanted to be at a position closer to the front. So again, we're coming up the false flat part. You can see that person in the white jersey. He moved up. He wasn't really attacking. He was just moving up. Like I said, there were a couple of flyers here and there that would take off to just get a feel of it. But I was really watching for what I would say maybe 4 or 5 people to go at once and to be represented among the different big teams that were there. So there were some teams here that had, at least 4 or 5 people from their team here. Active Yards is one of them. They always have a big representation turnout. The Bigfoot team, they had 3 or 4 guys. And then you have people like I think Joe had 1 teammate in this race. I didn't have any. So, we sort of just fend for ourselves. But we know the guys in the other teams, and, it's friendly competition with them. They're certainly not going to shut us out, but if we take off, they'll chase us down. If we happen to get in a break with them, they're not going to try to, cut us out of it either. So it's a friendly competition, which makes it nice. The more I do these races, the more I enjoy them, the more people I meet. Everybody's of the same mentality. We all seem to have a good competitive nature, a good competitive spirit, but we also want to have fun. Every once in a while, you'll make a stupid move or something, and people let you know you made a stupid move. Hey, I have no problem. I'm still learning. I learn every race. So, if I do something dumb, I want somebody to tell me about it because I don't want to do it again. It's not just my safety, it's other people's safety. So there was one part in turn number 1 after the finishing straight. I took a bad line. I came inside on the corner too much. There was no doubt that I was going to make it through, but it wasn't the best choice to make. I sort of got myself pinned in there, and I didn't have a way to move to the outside, so I just stayed there. And the guy next to me just said, you might not want to do that, and I acknowledged that, and we kept on going. So again, we're just at the front, keeping the pace high, just watching what's going on. It's still really early in the race. Like I said, this was a 50-minute race. We're about 20% into it now. No real break has gone yet. I'm trying to remember if there's going to be one. There's going to be one that takes off pretty soon. Like I wanted to be near the front, but I didn't want to be in the front. So right here, I'm just pulling through. It was my turn, and I don't mind sharing work. What I do mind is if I start sharing work and I want the next guy to come through and everybody just sort of sits on my wheel. So I've gotten to the point where so here's the first person going, and this was just sort of a feeler. So this guy came around, went out, and I pushed up to get back up to his wheel. And nothing really came of this, but like I said, I wanted to just stay in touch, stay in contact, see what was going on, because at one of these points, your whole hope is that you get in a good break with maybe 4 or 5 other guys, and you're strong enough and you share the load that you can take it through to the end. But again, this early in the race, chances are that wasn't going to stick. But at the same point in time, I was feeling good. I was well hydrated, had a lot of proper nutrition, had my block shoes, so I was feeling good. I didn't mind pedaling here. So you can see that guy, he sort of said, yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I didn't get a break. So now I'm on the front, and you'll see I'll like swerve here and there to see if somebody will come around. And like I said, sometimes people will. Sometimes people won't. I mean, if you can get a free ride at the front and you're moving at a good pace, do it. So this guy came around, so he takes off again. And I think there was another guy that went after him, and then I think I might have reacted, but I'm not sure. But again, it's a single guy on his own. You know, this early in the race, nothing's really going to come of that. You know, there were too many teams represented there that were going to make this come back eventually. But you can see at this moment, like my 30-second average power is, you know, 350 watts. So I'm putting some effort in coming up this false flat, and but again, I have done a good amount of training this year. I recover quickly. Like I'll make an effort like this, get behind somebody's wheel, and you know I'll be ready to go again in 20-30 seconds. So you know that part of the training is really I feel a lot better this year than I did last year. So you know I'm hoping to achieve my goal. My goal this year is to get a top 10. No spoilers here, but that did not happen in this race. But at the same point in time, I feel like you can see here, I just moved over, see if somebody wanted to come in on the inside. Nobody did, because I don't feel like chasing this guy down. And there, now somebody goes, and I mean, this was he was sort of testing. You see, he came around real fast, and I started to accelerate to get in his wheel. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm not going to go yet. So he sort of pulled back. So I'm not really pushing right here. I'm just sort of pedaling. So again, I don't mind at this point being in the front. It's not like I'm killing myself. I sort of figure, hey, if somebody's interested enough in going to close that guy down in front of us, they'll come around eventually. So, you know, like I said, I don't mind being here. I prefer not to be. I prefer somebody else come to the front and take it up. But, you know, it's not bad. So I think along this part, you'll see eventually I'm going to swing out to the right and just wait for somebody else to come through, right? Because now I'm not again not putting in a huge effort, but I'm putting in more of an effort. You know, I'm about to, there you go. Here comes the guy. This guy was good. This guy did a lot of work. That guy, number 428, I think his number was. He did a lot of work. He was always up in, you know, in the top 10 of the group at like this part of the race, and he was pretty consistent, pretty solid. So I knew if I saw him, I could get on his wheel and stay with him. So that was enjoyable. Don't know what his name is, so apologies for that. But again, you can see coming up the false flat, you do put a little bit more power in, especially if you want to, you know, keep in a bunch, which I had every intention of doing. But it's not that long. Again, it's not that hard. It's not like you're, you know, putting out, you know, a couple 100 watts. You know, you're in the 300 to 400 watt range, which isn't bad. And that's not the guy that took off. The guy that took off, I think, might still be up there a little bit. But yeah, I'm trying to see. I'm looking at the same video as you are live. I don't have it memorized. And then the guy in the black jersey here is another guy that I've gotten to know. Now this was a move that I was watching, right? So there you had two active yards guys just come up on the inside and go up the road. Active yards has some really strong riders, some really strong people on there. And there's an active yards guy right off to my right. That was one where I'm like, okay, this is actually a part in the race where there's potential. They could build up something and stay away. So this one I was watching. So I'm trying to get on the wheel in front of me. I believe the guy in front of me is a person named Tim. I met him in Lancaster a couple weeks ago. Really strong rider. So you know, I'm trying to get up to Tim because this one actually had a chance of doing something, and that's why I wanted to be near the front in case something did. You know, to try to get myself up to it and go. Fortunately, you know, it was one of those where this didn't stick. This didn't go anywhere, so it came back. Took a little while to get there, but it came back, and you know, we started merrily on our way doing circles again. It's like the old saying, you know, hurry up to wait, right? So you know, you got to keep things going. You got to be attentive when things go. You got to react to it, but then again, they might not stick. So this is one of the active yards guys. I think that was Jeff we just passed. He won. He actually won in the Lancaster, I think it was the Lancaster Race Avenue Criterium. Really strong rider. He's got some serious power. When he puts it down, you know, you better be ready to get on his wheel. So he was somebody that I was watching. Yeah, so that is Tim in front of me. and he's another strong rider. I was actually in a little bit of break with him for a couple laps in Lancaster, and like I said, that was fun. So like this part of the ride I like. You know, I want to be near the front. I want to keep an eye on what's going on. You know, and I was able to do that. So all in all, I'm really, again, as I said, I'm really happy with my level of fitness, with my power. I've lost a little bit of weight, so my power to weight ratio is better. You know, so it's just enjoyable. Like this is the part I like. This is the part where we just went by the lap counter. I didn't see what was left. But you know, we're about almost halfway through this race. There's Ron again, 4:59. So Ron has his GoPro mounted on. You could probably see it under his saddle. Mine is on my handlebars. So I'll have to see what Ron's footage shows as I'm coming up behind him, because I did wave to his camera a few times. You know, it's not like I had anything better to do. So you know, I was waving at his camera and making faces. So maybe someday I'll actually see that video. But again, you know, we're going around in our circles. Let's see. Yeah, so we're not halfway done yet. We still have probably a good almost 30 minutes to go, so you get to listen to me talk a little bit more, and I might stop for a little bit, but you can still see, you know, I'm still up in the top part of the race. Like I said, I think there was close to 60 people in this race. The last time I checked, which was the night before the race, there were 57 registered riders, and I think there were a few that signed up for the day of. So you know, it was a full race. It was good. It was a good course for it too. Like this course was not crowded with that many riders on it, even when you were towards the back. The only issues you had were if you were against the gutter, like on the right side here, and you know you were 3 across and you couldn't move because there was somebody in front of you. It was hard to get to the outside. You sort of had to wait your time, but you could do it. So you know, no issues there. So yeah, it's a nice setup. I'll be going back to this area, I think, in a couple weeks. Bigfoot Endurance, the team in the orange, is sponsoring a race for Parkinson's research, I believe. The Saturday, I think it's August. I want to say it's August 9th. I'm not sure if that's a Saturday or not, but that's going to be back up in the Bethlehem, PA area. So I'll be up doing that race. Looking forward to that one. Yeah, so now I'm paying attention here to see if I can see the lap counter, give you an idea of how many laps are left. So again, it's coming up at this tent on the left. You see the white tent there. There's a little lap counter right there, and I think it said 19 or 18. That doesn't seem right. That seems like it's too many. But anyway, they have the laps up now. So they did their calculation to figure out, you know, what our average speed the first couple of laps were. You know, put that into the 50-minute duration for the race, and you know, you're off and running, ticking down the laps. So, and this was another spot where, you know, you could sort of sit in, catch your breath. Oh, I know what lap this is. This is a preem, this lap. So this is where I definitely made a tactical error. So it was a preem. I was probably back in like 15th place, and now I'm up in like 3rd or 4th wheel, which is too far up with this much to go back to the start finish line. I would have been much better positioned if I would have stayed, and here I moved to 2nd wheel, which I don't know what I was thinking. Probably wasn't thinking. But this is way, 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 way too soon to be on 2nd wheel. Now, fortunately, I got 2nd wheel, and somebody did come around to take off, and then I chased after them. But like I said, they're right there. So these two take off, and a preem is basically, you know, they ring the bell. The first one back to the start finish line, in this instance, wins a cash prize. So I wanted to try to go for it. So you can see, like, that guy took off. Now I'm in 3rd wheel, going up the hill. We'll go around the corner, and I had no choice but to try to open up. Way, way, way too far from, you know, what. So he just flicked his arm, and I went through. Well, that wasn't the best move, because there's no way I'm going from here to the start finish line. You know, it just wasn't going to happen. So I'm pushing hard, but I'm not gassing it. and you're going to see pretty soon that Jeff and Joe come around me, and I try to get on them, but by that point there was like, so now I'm pushing. Now I'm like 800 watts, and there goes Jeff, and there goes Joe, and we'll let the suspense hold for a minute. And you see Joe got the preem. So, you know, those two, kudos to them. They rode smart. I made a tactical error. I got too close to the front. I probably should have been coming down this hill in, like, I don't know, 6th wheel, 5th wheel, somewhere like that. But again, it's a learning experience. So I take that away from it. I know the next time that, you know, I'm not going to put myself in that position. So now what I was trying to do is I was trying to get up to these guys, because we actually did have a very, very slight gap. And I thought, well, you know, Joe's strong, Jeff's strong. I'll be strong once I catch my breath. Maybe we can, you know, play at the front for a little while. I do eventually get up to him on the after this curve, and rode by Joe, and he looked behind and said, yeah, it's not going to happen here. So you'll see right up here, Joe's looking behind. I come up to him, and you'd be surprised how easily you can talk as long as it's not blowing wind. And right here, as I come along, Joey's like, yeah, this isn't going to stick. So he just said, ride steady, they'll come back, and we'll get back in a line. So right there, as I went past him, he gave me the old, you know, let's just hold this. People will come past, and you're going to see they're going to come past, and we're going to get back in line and keep going again. But that's the type of opportunity you look for. You look for something like that, like after a preem, you know, if you take off and other people are with you, and you have a good enough group, there, you know, you might want to give it a try. Joe did that at a race last year. He went on the 2nd lap of the race. It was a 15-lap race. He stayed out to the 14th lap, and it was just unfortunate that they got caught on the bell lap, but they did a heck of a job staying out there that long. And I mean, they opened up their gap to maybe at one point 30 seconds. So it does work. It absolutely does work. But you can see, like, you know, we didn't keep at it. These guys came up. I'm still feeling good, you know, so I was just sitting here pushing along, seeing if we could bring these guys together. I didn't think this was going to stick. I didn't think it had the right mix of people. You know, some other people come by, and that is one thing I do find. So in this instance, you know, you might be worried. You say, well, look at all these guys going by you. Like, does that worry you? And it doesn't really, because again, as evidenced by the time when Joe and I talked and said we need to move up closer, you know, you can move up in these things. You can definitely, you know, throw down a little power, tuck in behind somebody, get a quick recovery, and then just keep going. And that's one thing where I'm definitely getting better. I'm gauging my efforts better. Like, I know, hey, I can throw down a couple 100 watts for, you know, 15 seconds, whatever it takes to close that gap, and then just sit in, keep things going, recover, and do it again. So, you know, that's all just experience. Like, every time I race one of these things, I get more and more experience. So again, you know, things are settled back down for a few laps. I've got to think at this point we're more than halfway done the race. Hopefully this time around we'll see the lap counter. But yeah, right now, you know, there's a guy, you can sort of see him up there. There's one guy off the front, but, you know, with a group that's this strong, a single guy is not going to stay away for too long. Once the pack, the peloton, decides it's time to close that down, it will close down. You'd have to be with these guys. I mean, there's you know, some guys here that were, you know, pro racers back in the day, state champions back in the day. A couple races ago, Joe pointed out to me, you know, some Olympic champions from back in the day. So, you know, that's one thing when you ride in the Masters class, you have Cat 1, 2, 3, and 4 with you. So you've got people that definitely have, you know, that race pedigree, that race experience. You know, this is no easy ride. It's a hard ride. So, you know, that's what makes it fun. I really enjoy that aspect of it. You know, one of the guys in the club, after every race I do, he's like, "Did you win?" I'm like, "No, I didn't win. You know, I'm just I'm just an old man that pedals a bike. There's strong guys out there, and it's you know, to borrow a phrase from you know, the guy Steve that runs our team, owns our team. You know, Masters racing is no joke. I mean, this is serious stuff. These guys are competitive. Like I said, it's you want to have fun, you want to be safe, but it's a competitive environment, and I think that's what really makes it so much fun for me, is knowing that, yeah, I got to show up. I mean, to place in a top 10, I got to be on my A game. I would say this race, I'd give me, you know, a B plus, because I was gauging my efforts better, but I still, you know, when we get to the end, and if you want to skip ahead, I don't recommend you do, but, you know, when we get to the end and you look at about 45 minutes into the race, you know, again, I made some tactical errors. I was in really good position, but again, I went too soon. But, you know, that's with experience. That's what you get. But I was happy with how I positioned myself in this race. I wanted to stay near the front. I wanted to see what was happening with, you know, the brakes going. This is Terry, another friend of mine. I see Terry, you know, every week just about. Another really strong rider. He's on the Bigfoot Endurance team. Terry's another guy that, you know, he'll work with Joe and myself. You know, he's very friendly, very good, and strong. So, you know, that's another one that, you know, I look for certain people that are out in the group that I know, and each race I pick out a few more, and I'll watch what they do, because there's some of them that I know, hey, if they go, I go. So here, Terry, when I rode by Terry, I was like, yeah, come on, Big Orange, let's get moving. And I guess he listened to me, because he decided to start going. So I just figured, okay, I'll go with him. You know, feel good, let's give it a shot. So now, coming around this corner again, I do want to pay attention to the lap counter, because I think we've got to be, let's see, yeah, we're probably under 10 laps to go, if I'm looking at the mileage right, because like I said, I think the whole race was 21 miles. So Terry made a good jump, but he's out there by himself, and no disrespect to Terry. Terry wasn't going to stay out there by himself, so I knew there wasn't urgency to close it down right away, but at the same time, you wanted to move up on him. So let's see if we can see here. No, couldn't see. Swerved by just too fast. Yeah. So right now, you know, still going along. This is the part where, you know, if I put an effort in, I'm just doing everything I can here to recover. You know, somebody else comes through, I go get on the wheel. You know, this is where I was not going to push going down here. You sort of get, you know, it's like free speed. Why are you going to, you know, take those advantages away? So that's Jeff again at the front, I think, and back with Terry. I get back up on Terry's wheel. And this is where I say, like, you know, I was happy. I was up near the front, watching what was going on. Maybe a little bit too close to the front, but at the same point in time, I wanted to be up there. I wanted to participate in anything that was going on. You know, my race partner Steve will tell me, you go to the front too much, and yeah, I do. But at the same point in time, you know, I want to work. I want to try to force the issue. I want to try to make something happen in the race, and be part of that, because, you know, I don't believe my personal abilities will allow me to win a sprint. I'll do okay, but, you know, I don't have that outstanding, you know, raw sprint power to be able to take off at a moment's notice and generate, you know, a couple thousand and a couple hundred watts to really kick in on the sprint. So, you know, I'm looking for something to get away where I can work with. So this time should be able to see the lap counter, as you know, we have an unobstructed view. That's my dog cheering me on in the background, by the way. Let's see here. What's it say? A guy went by just as we went by it, so I couldn't quite see it. But like I said, you know, being that the distance is 14 miles, we've got to be within, like, you know, 6 or 7 laps of the end. And you see, like, you know, I was saying earlier, you know, right now my power's under 100 watts. We're doing, you know, 25 plus miles an hour. I'm pedaling, but there's not really a lot of force going into those pedals. My heart rate's pretty good, you know, at 160. That's where it'll normally be in a race. When it starts, you know, getting 170, over 170, then I know I'm really putting in an effort. So now again, at this stage of the race, when I saw that guy in the white jersey go by that's up ahead, and this guy come by me, like I said, you know, this was a guy that I would keep an eye on during the race. I'm like, okay, well, this is one that, you know, again, it's a single person, but if another person or two gets up to him, it could be something that would stick, you know, something you could take through. So, you know, I wanted to definitely work on either, you know, open up a gap and get with this guy with maybe one or two other guys with me, or, oh, that's what this one, this was another preem. That's where that guy took off. So this is another one where I'm like, yeah, I chased down the last one, and that's why you saw this guy come back around. I went up to him and said, look, I chased down the last one. I'm not chasing this one. And this guy had such a jump on us. He really, the guy that's up the road, he really put in a solid effort on that backstretch, and he was able to hold it the whole way. Like, he got a good gap on us, and I mean, even if I went flat out, we weren't going to close down to him by the time he got to the start-finish line. So kudos to him for really reading that right and jumping out there and getting the preem. You see a couple other guys going. So now this is where you watch, right? This is where, so the pace picked up for the preem. A couple other guys are going through, and now this is where a break could happen, right? You could get a couple guys that came through here hard. And let's see, so 7 laps to go. You could go through that pretty hard and establish a little break, and that's where you want to be paying attention. So, and this was the corner. That was the corner where I just had a horrible line. I was way too inside. Recovery, got through the corner fine, but you know, that's one that I wouldn't take that line again. But anyway, you know, it's coming back together, but again, being at the front was good for me because I was able to see what was happening. So if something would have gone, or you know, more people were moving up to the front, you know, you want to pay attention to that. So you can see there's 3 guys off the front, but they don't have that big of a gap. You know, there's still the whole group with us, and you know, it's going to come back. Hi, Ron. Guess Ron decided it's time to go close down to those guys. Now we're coming up the little false flat. And again, I'm just trying to watch. So I saw, you know, Ron was jumping up to those guys. The guy in the active yards was jumping up to those guys. We got a Bigfoot guy jumping up. So I'm like, okay, you know, I'm going to follow this and just see if something sticks up here, I want to be up there with it. If it doesn't, you know, no harm, no foul. That might be Matt from Bigfoot. I couldn't see his face. I think that was Matt from Bigfoot. He's another guy I see on Thursday nights. Another really nice guy. Very strong. Oh, sorry for my hands. That is a UCI illegal position, but not USA Cycling Federation. I'm resting my forearms on the tops of my bars. For all those that follow, you know, the international races, you can't do that anymore in UCI races, but you can still do it in USA Cycling races, which this is one of. So no problems there, and you don't have to call and complain or leave comments in my video that I was doing something illegal. And speaking of the videos, if you haven't already, please subscribe, give the video a like. If you're watching it by this time, you must be interested in it somehow, because you've been spending a good 40 minutes with me listening to me drone on. So just click that subscribe button, click the like button. I'd appreciate it. So again, like, this group's all back together. There was a car coming out. You saw Ron waving his arm. the guy standing on the side. That's one of the marshals that was there telling the car not to come over. Then you saw a guy right at that point take off on the right. Ron's going to chase him. And because it's two people, now it's getting interesting. Now a third guy's going. So now you're sort of thinking, well, what do I want to do? So this guy in front of me from Liberty Cycles starts moving up. So I just figure, okay, I'll go with him, see what he does. You know, you're at the stage in a race where if you get 4 or 5 guys that are working together, there's a potential to do something. So he moved over. I came through the middle of them, working it to get up to these two. But based upon my power right now and based upon what I'm doing, you know, we don't have a gap behind us. Like, I don't have eyes in the back of my head, but I can tell you there's no gap behind us. The whole field is going to be behind us. So, you know, I'm not going to work now to bring these two guys back. Let's see, we've got 5 to go. So, you know, this is another one where I'm getting better at reading this. Like, I'm still on the front, but I'm not killing myself. I'm not burying myself to bring these two guys back, because I think pretty soon you're going to see there will be a bunch of guys that come by me on the right, especially when I'm riding in the yellow lane here. You know, people are going to be out towards the right shoulder. You know, it's not my job now to shut this down. I've been doing a good amount of work, and I've been doing a fair amount of work. So, you know, with 5 laps going, these two guys at the front, you know, my bet is they're not staying away. So I'll wait for other people to come through. Again, I'm not pushing real hard. I'm doing 150 watts. You know, my heart rate was high from the previous effort, but it's starting to work its way back down. You know, my cadence isn't super fast. So now here's where I went over. Like, this is my indicator to the guys behind me. Hey, I'm done. You know, somebody else take up the charge. And if nobody comes through, well, guess what? We're going to go the speed I'm going, because I'm not going to push at this point. So now they start going. And this guy was funny. He came up to me after the race, said, "Hey, I didn't cut you off, did I? I know I came real close as you were moving out the side." I'm like, "Oh, no. I said, "I was just hanging out there, you know, because I was done doing whatever." And real nice guy. I forgot his name, but you know, he was really nice after racing. I'm like, "Oh, it's not a problem. That's all about racing." I'm like, "I didn't cut you off, I hope." So now here's where you're going to see one of those situations where I'm getting passed by a ton of people. I'm not panicked. I'm like, yeah, this is okay. You know, the more the merrier. Sort of. I'm still in the first half of the race. So at this point, I'm just sitting in, going to catch my breath a little bit. We should be coming around here with, I think, 4 laps to go. So I'm not concerned. I know that, you know, I have the ability to move up. I might be back a little bit further than I want to be, but again, I'm not panicked. There's still plenty of time to move back up. You know, at this point, I'm looking for the right wheel to surf, to drag me up to the front. The guy in front of me right now, I seen him a couple times in a race. He's a good tall person. Yeah, there's 4 laps left. He's a good tall person. That's what I look for, right? I want to get somebody big that's really going to block a lot of wind. You've heard all the stories about how much more efficient it is to draft someone. It really is. You know, you save 25% of your effort. You know, as a matter of fact, if I'm drafting someone down this hill, I have to scrub speed by like feathering my front brake, just because I will roll into the guy in front of me. So at any rate, you know, I'm sitting here right now. My cadence is pretty high, but I'm in an easy gear. I'm just spinning to keep the legs moving, as I know, you know, we're getting close to the end of the race. You can see the front guys are making a turn. We're coming up in a turn now. So, you know, probably at this point, maybe around 30, between 30 and 40th wheel. Just taking a rough look at all the people in front of me. And, you know, I know this will be when we've done this lap, we'll have 3 laps to go. So I'm not really too worried about it. I know I can make up some space coming up here this time, and the next time around. So you see, I think somebody here moves up on the inside and I follow them. It might be the Bigfoot guy, or maybe it was this guy. Somebody comes up on the inside and I went up with them. You know, I gained 10 places in 5 seconds. So, you know, that's how you move up. You get on the right guy, you follow him up. So now you see he's blocked. He can't move any further. So this is where I was talking earlier about, if you're trapped inside against the curb, especially in this situation, it's hard to move. It's hard to move to the outside to get that free, unobstructed space to move up. But then coming through this turn, you'll see again that the inside opens up again, so you can still move. So, you know, I'm moving up. I just gained 10 places there. We're coming up to the start finish line. It'll have 3 to go. You know, like I said earlier. At this point, you know, I'm thinking, okay, how do I get myself, because I'm still thinking I have the ability to be in the top 10. Just if I gauge it right, I do my effort right on the last lap, if I'm in the right position coming up that false flat in the back, I can finish in the top 10. So that's what I'm thinking right now. So I'm trying to position myself. There's 3 laps to go. I know on this lap I need to move up a little bit more. You know, we'll have 2 laps to go, and that's when I want to be in position. I don't want to be doing the work, but I want to be in position at 2 laps to go. So again, you see here, I'm coasting. I'm not doing anything, you know, coasting along at 27 miles an hour. I've got a great draft. You know, it's just, like I said, this is free speed right here. You get this draft going, you have no wind on you. You know, it's easy. Like I'm scrubbing my brakes. So now we come through this turn, and things will always pick up. You know, that's one thing you'll notice. Anytime you come out of a turn, there's always a surge. And then a lot of times what'll happen is you'll have that initial surge out of the turn, and now you'll see here people are starting to coast again because it's bunching back up. So you get that surge, you run into the person in front of you, it bunches back up, and now you start going again. So now we're coming into the false flat. You know, my cadence is up, my power's going up. You know, now, like I said, my plan is I want to move up. I want to get closer to the front. You know, because the goal at this point is I really want to be in the top 10, and that's what I'm shooting for. I'm not worried about I'm not worried about getting into position to do that. I'm worried about executing a plan to make sure it happens. Because that's something where, you know, that's going to take me some time to still learn. You know, I can move up and back, okay? It's just making sure I'm where I need to be at the point I need to be there. So you can see I just moved up again. So right now I'm probably sitting somewhere, you know, between 25 and 30th wheel. We should have 2 laps to go coming around start finish this time. You can see some people in here, you know, they're dropping off a little bit. So that should be, yeah, two to go. So now's where my strategy and thought process really comes into play. So, you know, I'm probably 20th wheel, you know, maybe 25th wheel, which is good. That's where I want to be. I want to try to hold that. There's Joe on my right side right there. Joe is a really, really good target. Joe's a great racer. Joe has been doing this for years. He knows what's going on. He gives me tips all the time. He's like my teammate Steve. Steve hasn't been racing as long as Joe, but Steve is very well informed, and you know, I listen to what these guys tell me. Like I said, I'm learning something every race. So, you know, at this point, I'm watching Joe. I'm gonna try to move with Joe when he moves, because this is where I need to learn how to do this. Getting better at it, but I don't have Joe's experience yet, and Joe's really good at it. Joe knows when to go, when to conserve, and when to go all in. So, you know, this is a good thing. So we're coming around. And I'm, you know, like I said, I think I'm in a good spot. Now you're going to see here somewhere, is it this lap? I won't give it away if it's not this lap. It might not be till the next lap. But you can see, yeah, we're going up to false flat. Nobody's really taking a serious attack right now, because I guess everybody's sort of figured out that, you know, it's going to come down to the last lap on this section of the course where somebody's going to try to go, and that's where the win's going to happen. the pace is picking up, right? It's definitely picking up, but nobody's trying to fly off the front, because at this point, it really wouldn't make sense. You've got the whole pack right there. You've got everybody ready to go, and you know, now it's just going to come down to, as I like to say, mano a mano. You know, we're going to get to the last lap and see what happens on that back stretch, and take it from there. All right, so this will be the bell lap. I don't know if you can see the guy on the right there. He's ringing the bell. There's one to go, so we're on the last lap of the race. And again, I'm really happy with where I am. My position's good. I'm where I want to be. I would prefer probably be on the opposite side of the pack. I don't want to be on the inside in that bottom stretch, but I'll move there eventually. You can see I'm starting to work my way over to the right. Pace is picking up going down this hill. You know, we're doing 30 miles an hour, where the previous laps, you know, we were probably in the upper 20s. So yeah, things are definitely faster because it's the last lap. But you can look and see that the power still is not through the roof, right? It's not really going to happen until we come across the bottom straightaway and get into that turn. So now I'm moving to where I want to be. I wanted to be on the outside so I can move on this last hill. Now you can see the race sort of shifted to that side, because that's where you can make a move. I'm locked on the guy in front of me. I want to follow him wherever he goes. So all in all, like in my head, I'm thinking, okay, you're where you want to be. You're doing what you need to do. There's Joe up ahead. Joe's in really good position. Again, you know, I use Joe as a baseline to sort of measure where I want to be. And at this point, like I came by Joe and I said, hey, if I can help out, you know, jump on. I'm trying to go. And this is where I made a mistake. I went too hard too soon, right? So I'm way. I mean, I'm up at 800 watts, and I still got a long way to go. I'm not going to hold 800 watts that far. So you know, this is the group. You'll see that's Ron right next to me. Ron comes out of this corner and makes a really good jump. That's the winning move right there. Those guys that just went up on the right side, those are the top 5. And then you're going to see, you know, I'm happy with this race, but now I'm probably, you know, just outside of the top 10. There goes Joe. I think Joe got 10th. I finished up 18th. So hope you enjoyed the ride. This was Chris from the Old Man Cycling Show saying, see you next time. Peace.